So here we are at the third episode, the Day of Judgment for Sanrio Danshi. The episode that will determine whether I continue with this series or I drop it for good. And I have to say, I'm going to continue with this series because I want to know more about the characters. And we have 3 more characters to dive into who they are and give more information about, as well as development. And I really enjoyed this week's episode. Now, as we know from last week's episode 2, by the end of it, we were introduced, or we saw Yu's younger sister, and we got to know what her name was in this week's episode. Her name is Yuri. Now, I can completely and wholeheartedly understand if you do not like her at the end of this episode. And even though she was kind of redeemed by the end of it, her actions were not justifiable. Now, from episode 2, the ending of episode 2, when she saw her brother along with Kota and Shinsuke coming out of the store that sells, all the products for Sanrio characters, My Melody, Pum Pum Pudding, and Hello Kitty, and she saw him, she called him gross. Now, it was kind of like you didn't know how to really judge her from then, but in this episode, her actions were pretty gross. Her actions were pretty gross. So we come to find out in their household, most of the time, if not all the time, their parents are always busy at work. So basically, we have Yu, who has to take care of the household, do all the chores, do all the cooking, you name it, on top of being a student. So he has to juggle home life and school life while also still being a young adolescent growing up. And we have his sister, who for most part of the episode ignores her brother's presence anytime he's doing something for her, especially like cooking her meals in the afternoon. She doesn't eat it, she wastes it, and it's like, what is her problem? Now, as the episode go by, we continue to see her acting this way towards her brother, and to the point where he got sick because he didn't allow himself to dry his hair properly. So we have where Kota and Shinsuke came over to watch over him and have a fun afternoon. Then she comes home acting the same way towards him, and he nearly slaps her, because it got to the point where what she was doing was getting way out of hand and they were yelling at each other and it was about to get physical real quick. So he had to storm off and cool his head down. Now we have where Kota kind of tells her that, your brother really does care about you and he always is trying his best. And we come to find out the reason why she acts. Now, there's 2 ways that they showed us the reason for her actions towards her older brother. It may be due to the fact that he has grown so many hobbies as the years gone by, and that he's become friends with more people, like Shinsuke, and becoming more friends with females, and for the fact that he has gained even more of an interest towards My Melody. It may be the fact, because he has all of those stuff, he hasn't been paying attention to her or giving into her needs as much as she wanted to. So she has been throwing a tantrum. So basically, she just wants her brother to pay attention to her. And not only that, it goes also to the fact that he likes something that is deemed feminine, something that's liked by younger females. So that's why she calls him gross. So if you take in those 2 factors, the fact that he's been giving his undivided attention towards other stuff and probably may not have been paying attention to her much, and the fact that he likes something that society will frown upon towards males the older they get, she combines those 2 things, and then it comes as a result for her actions in this episode. Of course, her brother, after he calmed down, he was never a mean brother. He still cares for her and she means a lot to him. But at the end of the day, you know, it's still, I didn't like her how she was acting towards her brother, and she's at the age, because she's getting ready to go to high school, she's at the age where she's capable of understanding certain things, and she knows how much her brother sacrifices for both of them while their parents are not around that much. So for her to act that way and not try to understand things from her brother's point of view, and instead of throwing tantrums like a little snot-nosed brat, you know, she should try and help around, and instead of calling her brother gross, try to see what interests he has so that they can connect with each other if that's something that she misses from her brother, the way he used to act in the past. And also for the fact, it seems like she wants her brother to be this ideal type of person, something that she grew up with as a younger child, not knowing that people change over time. So hopefully we get to see her in another episode and they actually give her some development. If not, then we're stuck with this episode of her character, and it, even if they kind of smooth it over by the end of it, it still left a pretty bad taste in most of our mouths if you saw this episode because of how she was acting. But nonetheless, it gave us more of Yu's character, and it just doesn't make him also look like a one-dimensional character who's the stereotypical guy who is liked by both males and females, and he's pretty much good in everything. So it gives more depth to his character. But nonetheless, if you guys saw this week's episode of Sanrio Danshi, episode 3, do tell me in the comment section below on how you felt about this week's episode. Are you hoping that we may get another episode that may go more into Yu and Yuri's house life and how these two siblings will grow with each other, especially for Yuri's character? And if you clicked off the video after the ending song that happened, there's actually a short segment, and it showed where, because it's going to focus on Shinsuke next week's episode, we have where 3 of his upperclassmen want to go talk to him, and they're from the soccer club. So my assumption is that they may have found out that he likes Hello Kitty, and they are not too pleased with that, and it may deal something with public image towards the soccer team. So it may be that, but I could be wrong, but we'll have to wait till next week's episode. So I'm Kimmy-chan of Anime Legends Podcast. Like I said before, leave a comment down below. Also check out the links in the description box. Hit that subscribe button and the like and or dislike button depending on how you view this video, and I will see you guys later. Bye.